I listened to the last episode. I listen every time you drop, and you and Vinny, man, you are the constant voices reminding the world that Scottie Pippen should not be celebrated.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
You got to imagine how hard it is for me to watch an Eastern Conference Finals now, where I'm watching Indiana and New York, teams that during my childhood it was like the leftovers. You feel what I mean? So thank you.
People get hot when I say this about Scottie. Now, I'm not nearly as fervent about this as Vinny's old Detroit basketball ass.
Oh, yeah.
Vinny harder. And in fact, now that I think about it, the guy that said that Mike went in the Hall of Fame is two people is not Vinny, but he is also from Detroit.
I know. It's disrespectful what Vinny does. You mess around and poke and then smile about it. Vinny out stares you in your soul.
Hold on. I don't even be poking. I feel like I'm trying to put people up on game, right? Like I'm telling people the truth when it comes to Scottie. Vinny be out here making headache jokes. That's what the difference is between me and him. Vinny goes super hard on
real
Scottie.
Life bully.
But the irony of it is to go super hard on Scottie is actually for the Detroit dude to take the Michael Jordan approach to Scottie Pippen. Because to me, the funniest thing in The Last Dance, right? Because The Last Dance had a lot of things going on. It didn't really have that much comedy. The funniest thing in The Last Dance is that after all these years, right? What was then 30 years, and I feel comfortable saying 35 because I am positive that Mike still feels the same way. After all those years, Michael Jordan still cannot wrap his mind around the idea that a headache stopped Scottie Pippen from showing up in that game. And I want to be very clear about something, just so everybody understands where I come from on this particular issue. I'm totally Team Scottie on this. I've never had a migraine, but everybody that's ever had a migraine, none of them struggle to understand what Scottie was going through. In fact, Scottie deserves credit for doing what he did with the migraine. And I think that just about everybody else in the world wants to give Scottie credit for that, except for one man. And that one man is Michael Jordan. He still can't see it.
Yeah. And that's no pun intended, right? A man is seeing 3 different Dennis Rodmans at once. He's seeing 4 different Bill Laimbeers. His neck hurt, his head hurt, he's nauseous. And Mike is like, hey, man, what you gonna do?
Yo, and didn't he play like 38 minutes or something like that?
It's not like Scottie asked out of the game. Scottie had old school 90s, late 80s playoff minutes on a migraine. And everybody's like, oh, look at this sucker. Look at this dude. And of course, it had to be, basketball's version of snitching ass Randy and Michael Jordan, who was like, you know what? I don't understand why people can't be great in these circumstances.
He said in The Last Dance, he was like, hey, Scottie says his head hurts. That's the farthest in 30 years. The farthest that he could get was, hey, man, look, Scottie says his head hurt, and Scottie says his head hurt.
Can you imagine, The Last Dance kind of helped us, but just being around that on a daily basis where you traveling with the Beatles and he is the number one dude. He is the god of this thing, the cable television, the crossroads of Nike marketing, cable TV, league needing the next dude. And he lands on you, a dude from Central Arkansas who first you got to go through Charles Oakley bullying you for a couple of years. And
slapping you in the face on camera.
And one of the most outstanding local television commercials keeps popping up with the Mr. Submarine thing, where it's him and 2 Bulls cheerleaders on the practice floor eating hoagies. It was all early 90s was a rough period for Scottie, even though he was winning championships.
Dude, it's him in The Last Dance. It was just really kind of sad.
Yes,
the whole way. And on top of it, I think this is an underrated part. And I think that Mike was talking about this, right? Scottie did not go in that game in 94. And never forget, Kukoc did hit the shot, right? Which just made it all even worse for Scottie, right? There's a part, if you read in the Jordan rules, and it talks about the time that James Worthy got caught in Houston with the prostitute, right? By the way, James Worthy got out of jail, came and helped the Rockets win a game that night, right? Like that's that old school focus.
Big
you know
game,
what I'm saying?
James.
That's that old school focus. But Mike's thing about that was, hey man, you can't lose the people. Like once you lose the faith of the public, there's no turning back. And he like truly ate for Worthy because of his understanding of what happens when you lose the public. And that is the lens through which he also views Scottie not going in the game, right? Like I think there's a part of Mike that understands, hey, I want that shot. But then Mike was like, oh, not like that, right? Not like that.
Yeah, he's one of those figures in Chicago sports history. Like Scottie was my favorite Bull. Like Mike was separate from everybody else, right? Mike was everybody else's. And I think Bears fans right now, and you mentioned we'll talk about Caleb Williams, but having something that is everyone else's in this city is kind of one of those things where it's like we kind of shroud ourselves in the second city aura, and we're the big city in the middle of LA and New York. So something that's ours. That's why Derrick Rose, who was so fiercely ours, if Derrick Rose was more comfortable with the spotlight and was marketed differently, he would have become everybody else's as well. Scottie seemed like for that run, okay, this is our thing because we understand on a nightly basis what Scottie means. But when you're Michael Jordan and you did everything that he did leading up to it, Olympics and all these other things, man, you can cast a cloud over many. And now Scottie obviously hasn't looked good for the last decade or so, going back and forth on his thoughts on Michael. So it's been a rough run for him, and the off the court stuff as well.
Let me tell you, this is the toughest thing for Scottie. Like, and this is the toughest thing about being around Jordan. When I was in graduate schools, before I got to Carolina, I had been accepted to the program, made the acquaintance of my advisor, Sandy Darity, to this day, the most brilliant man I've ever met. All right. And I was having a hard time in school at that time, right? Your boy was struggling, right? Like it was stressing me out. I wasn't really digging it. Like it was just tough. I didn't have the motivation, right? And I hit Sandy up and I asked about what it was like, if he had any, experience when you just didn't have it, and dialing it back up. And Sandy told me that, yeah, maybe he could feel like that for a day, maybe two. Then get right back on it. Maybe I needed to go get some help. Which, by the way, fair observation.
Yeah.
However, it's tough when whoever your OG happens to be is locked in all the time. I used to see Sandy walk around campus, walking and reading books at the same time. He was always locked in. That's Mike. Mike cannot understand. I just ain't really got it like that today. Nope. Mike had it like that every single day. Yo, man, that is rough.